Welcome to Senior Living Investment with Emily Bo. Today, I'm excited to have Brandon Schwab with us. Brandon is the owner of Shepherd Premier Senior Living, a company that focuses on boutique senior living with assisted living and memory care facilities in 7 different markets. He also has a fund called Boutique Senior Living Fund, which is a F506C fund eligible for accredited investors only. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First question for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what drew you to the senior living asset class?
Senior living wasn't something I really ever thought I would jump into. About 10 years ago, actually about 15 years ago now, my family member had to go to a place in Joliet and he got really bad care. And I just saw the typical place that you were able to think of to offer care to seniors. And I really just saw all the problems with it. And I was really turned off by the whole deal. And I never thought I'd ever end up in this industry, but fate would have it different that 5 years later, I was down in Florida and I saw a home that a person converted. And I was like, what is this? And at the time, I was investing for 4 years. I had 23 properties in our portfolio as far as rentals. So I kind of thought I knew a couple things, and I really felt kind of dumb that I didn't know what it was. And when I did some further research, I really thought that home model was different, and it was really cool that I could get back behind that. So I came back to our market in 2014. We opened up our first house, and first 5 years, it took me a while to kind of figure out what I was doing. And so that we've been adding 1 to 2 properties per year, and now we're in like a growth phase of expanding rather quickly. We're excited to really take an industry that's really broken and then really fix it with how we believe it ought to be done. And we offer 4 times care than any other place in the market. So one of the things I ask people is, would you rather your elder be cared for a caregiver that has to care for 20 to 30 people or 5 to 8? Most people would say 5 to 8. And that's really what we offer in a home, not a facility. In fact, in our office, we actually call that the F word. We don't use the F word to talk on any of our homes. We have homes that are 10 to 20 people per home. That's it. We don't ever go under 10 and we never go over 20.
Okay.
So that is our niche.
I guess that's why you focus on the boutique style senior living, because you want to make sure seniors, the residents who live at your homes, have the homey feeling.
Yeah, that's the only way we would do it. We won't go over 20 because we kind of feel that over 20, you are going to lose that feel and never give up that feel. So 10 to 20 is our overall target. And where we gain level of being efficient is when we have multiple of these homes, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 500 homes is our overall target. By 2035, we aim to have 3,000 of them. So we're growing and we're doing this model of it of only 10 to 20. Yes, you can earn some money if you have 200 plus people, but that's not what I can get back behind.
But with 10 to 20 beds, is it more vulnerable to fluctuation in vacancy rates? And how do you ensure the profitability of your business model?
Well, I think when you always have fewer people, when a person is able to pass, it definitely hurts you more than if you had 200 people. However, on the flip side is if you have folks waiting to get into your place, it doesn't affect you, right? When you do things how they ought to be done, people identify that that's different. And when you go into the other places, a lot of times you can tell by the odor that they don't offer very good care. You're very profitable because we don't have the corporate overhead that most of the other options have, where they got layers and layers of corporate overhead and all kinds of debt and things like that. We operate equal to everyone else, and sometimes even we can outperform everyone else because we don't have that level of overheads. A lot of other places have a firm on retainer to handle when people try to go after them, and they pay them 20 to 50,000 per month. Like, that's because you're not doing things properly and you're cutting corners. That's why that happens. If you just do things right, you don't have to have that cost. And that's how we choose to operate is that I can feel good every evening knowing that we're doing everything possible to do it how it ought to be done.
Love it. What percentage of your income do you typically allocate, say, to payroll, to food, and legal fees?
So payroll is about 45%. Food is about 3 to 4%, and legal very little. I mean, less than 1%, because
Okay.
we don't have that. We, knock on wood, 10 years in, we have never been involved in a suit from anyone in our homes because we do things properly. That is not to say that we will never, it's just we haven't had it yet. Not to jinx ourselves, but when you do things how they ought to be done, families appreciate that falls happen and
Mhm.
that we do everything we can to keep that from happening. But we never promised one caregiver to every person. They're not by them all the time. They understand that exposure while they're coming in. So we are very upfront and transparent, and we do everything we can to have them have the best last chapter of life possible.
Great. How do you typically finance your deals?
I'm creative, so financing's not really there today. Single family house and say it's making 60 to 80 grand a month. I don't get it. When anyone's confused, they don't do anything, right? So we have typically financed a lot of our deals creatively, meaning that sometimes we've done a combination of a lease purchase, owner carryback financing, partial. Sometimes we use a hard capital lender to go purchase it for a good cash price. And then we typically raise dollars from investors to help fix the house up. We have done everything creatively. Now, fast forward to today, 10 years later, now we're using a fund. So our fund allows us to have a pool of capital to go acquire for cash, close quickly. And then our fund gets paid back when we do take out financing within the first 12 months. And we just do it over and over. And we identified access to capital was the biggest challenge of our business. That's why we pulled together a fund. When we needed it, we have access to capital. And we also do make that capital available to other operators that are vetted and have 10 to 20 bed properties that we could get back behind. It's more of a PE model where we would sign as a KP. So that capital is not just for us. There's lots of other ways that we can use that because frankly, our OpCo only needs X period of dollars really for us to use, and the other capital is going to be borrowed out to other players. And we really want to make a big push to funding future deals where we have a
Mm-hmm.
first lien on the overall property underneath, and then we have an equity percentage while our dollars are exposed, which allows our investors that have dollars into the project to be very protected.
Love it. So you typically purchase a piece of property, then convert it into assisted living or memory care. Is it the kind of model that you have been doing?
Yes. So
Okay.
we buy a house that's 10,000 feet, first floor only. If we can find it, we pour 500,000 up to $2 million into each house. We do
Mm-hmm.
things right. We don't cut corners.
Okay. So have you considered maybe purchasing an existing business, say existing assisted living facility, and then you can take advantage of the SBA loan
Yes,
that
the SBA takes too long to fund deals. If
okay.
you want the best deal, you have to close in 30 days or less. The SBA takes about 6 months. Although they're great for a takeout financing, we use our fund and cash from investors to purchase the properties for cash and then reposition and then do takeout financing with the SBA or HUD. So folks that are buying properties through the SBA, you're losing deals because you're too slow.
Okay.
Yes, we are now buying properties that are existing because that's what's going on today in the market, but we're buying properties for cash or we're taking over existing financing, things like that. There's lots of ways. Financing is probably one of the biggest challenges in this business is banks don't want to lend on this. So you either have to be creative or you don't figure it out. We're very creative and we put deals together over the last 10 years that have every possible type of deal. And that allows us to control the asset. And a lot of times when I do the owner carry, the highest interest I've ever paid is 1.5% interest. I would rather only pay 1.5 than 8 to 10. We will bring the 8 to 10 plus for investors to fix up the property because they don't have a first lien. That's how we've done it over the last 10 years. Now we're pulling together enough capital that we can either buy it, we can fix it up, we can take a first lien or a second lien when they carry back financing.
Okay. Well, 1.5% interest rate is quite impressive.
That's the highest I've ever paid. I've had
Yeah.
many times where we've done it at zero.
Zero. Yeah. Because we can always tell the seller, well, maybe we can bump up the price a little bit and bake the interest rate into that purchase price, right?
A lot of times you'll find that they're looking for their asking price. And if you find a way to give them their asking price on terms that you can live with, they're happy. Most times they own it free and clear. They're comfortable with the asset. It's probably one of our best kept how we've done what we've done is what I
Mm-hmm.
just told.
Okay. I mean, since we are talking about financing, can you share with us how you've raised capital for your first few deals in senior living?
I sold 23 properties and I took the cash proceeds from that. So I funded our first properties, right? And then from there, it was a friends and family round. And then joined masterminds that are 20 to 30 grand per year to be in. That's how I've raised a lot. And then I've done podcasts. That's pretty much how I've raised what we've done to get to this point. So thank you for the opportunity to be on here. Because when people hear what we do, they love it. They love
Mhm.
the purpose, the heart, and what we do. And the podcast gives me a avenue to talk to more people. We are actually opening up our own podcast as well. And that's the whole purpose. We're giving value of things that we have learned over 10 years, but we're
Mhm.
also creating the folks' eyes to be open to what we're doing. A lot of people love what we're doing and they want to participate, but they don't have the time to really go do what we do. So they can actively be part of it by investing in our fund. It allows them to feel that upside that they're helping change a overall industry that's broken by just investing into our fund. As long as they're
Mhm.
able to qualify, they can definitely do that. And we have entry fees of 100,000 for our first fund, 200,000 for fund two, and our third fund is 5 million. We have got different tiers where people can invest, whether you are investing your own money or if you're investing on behalf of a family office, right? We
Mhm.
work with a
Mhm.
lot of family offices that are looking to have their investment portfolio more evenly across different asset types. Very few family offices have a balanced portfolio that includes this type of investment.
So what's the return look like for the investors, say cash on cash, IRR, and equity multiplier?
So that's a good question. We could definitely dive into that further once we have the conversation. But I'll tell you, our fund is going to allow us to do 8 to 21%.
Yeah. That's pretty big span, but I would say, I mean, if you can go up to 21%, that's definitely better than most of the multifamily deals that the investors can invest their money in.
The biggest difference is a person needs to answer a few questions. One is if you're investing, when do you need the cash payments coming back? Like if you want that coming back every 30 days or every quarter, you're going to be looking at 8 to 12%, right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to invest into a project and let more compound of the interest to happen, you can make 15 to 21%, but you are parking your dollars for a lock of 5 years up to 10 years. So that's
Mm-hmm.
great when a person's investing with their overall IRA where they can't touch it till they're 59 and a half anyways. That's perfect for that. Right. But that does not pay out interest every 30 days. So what we're doing with that money is we're investing it into projects that have a longer pathway to get open. Say we are buying dirt, we are going to put up homes, and it takes us to get to cash flow 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We can't pay every 30 days because it's not earning money. So
Mm-hmm.
we ask questions of really what the investor is looking for, and we place them into the proper fund that's appropriate for really what they're doing. Family offices have a range of 8 to 21%, and they can pick and choose what fits their purpose. And what I found with a lot of family offices is they're not as concerned with the ROI, but they're concerned about like the impact of what they're doing. They want to feel good that their capital is earning a fixed return, but they want to know that they're really making this world a good place. And we allow them to kind of check off those boxes. And it allows them to feel good that they're investing in projects that's helping the world be better,
Mm-hmm.
both from the caregiver point of view, but also the person that's in our homes. And then they know they're investing into a tangible asset, right? If you invest 5 million, 10 million, $20 million, you're getting a first lien on real estate. So they're
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. that. They have done that before, right? Those are the questions that we typically ask. And then investors will kind of identify what they're looking to invest. If they're looking to invest 50,000, we're not a good fit for them. They don't qualify, right? If a family office is looking to invest 20 to $50 million, that's a great conversation, right? We can help them tailor to that. Or if someone's looking to just park dollars in a like IRA that's earning 2 to 3%, they can place $500,000 to $800,000 with us and make 5 to 21% over 5 to 10 years. That is each year, but they're investing in projects, so they're helping change the atmosphere without literally having to do anything other than cutting a check.
Let's talk about staffing. For a 12-bed assisted living home, what does the staffing look like, and what type of staffing role do you have in your assisted living homes?
During peak hours, which is during the day from about 7 a.m. till 10 p.m., we have 2, and then overnight we have 1 person. So we have 2 caregivers there that are there every day, 1 person overnight. And then we have a nurse that pops in every day, looks over charts and vitals and passes on meds for her 3 hours in every day.
Okay. Do you also hire, say, administrators for each home?
We have a like house manager per home that handles like sales and scheduling and things like that.
Staff retention, I would say, is actually a challenge in the service industry. And how do you retain your staff at Shepherd Premier?
I think they have a choice of where to go work. And if one option has them caring for 20 to 30 people, or with us, 5 to 8, it's a pretty clear option. We have like raving fans that have been with us for 8 years because they're getting paid fairly, but they're not overly worked, right? Maybe you could get an extra 25 cents per hour, 50 cents per hour elsewhere, but you're caring for 20 to 30 more people. Is it worth the 50 cents? A lot of times they say no, it's not. So I would rather be in a culture that feels like family, and they're caring for their own family is really the culture that happens with us.
Creating the right culture is actually important for a business, for any business to success. And how do you cultivate the culture at
I mean, it begins from the first day that you are able to hire them all the way through ongoing training. They have to know what the company is about. They need to know that the value, the whole purpose, the core values of what the company is back behind. And a lot of times they buy into your mission. So it is my job to cast the vision of what we're doing, and people will follow that. Anyone that does that needs to do the same thing. And if you're not a good leader, people won't follow you.
What's the mission of your company?
Change the industry. We are bringing the future of this industry to the market today. 10 to 20 beds is the hardest way to, it's the proper way. So it's the future of senior living. We are bringing it today. Despite it being hard, it's not efficient and all the things that you fight against, but it's the proper way. Right is always right, wrong is always wrong, and there's no varying difference. The difference is our competitors choose profits over people. We choose people over profits. That's the future. Because guess what? The market that we're caring for today is 80 to 85-year-olds, right? Their kids are about 60 to 65. And I'll tell you, the baby boomer generation is used to being pampered. Let's put it like that. And what their parents are tolerating won't fly for them. So the big 100 to 200 facilities, let's use the F word, won't cut it 10 years. They will demand places like us where they get nice, cozy, that is going to have an atmosphere that's not telling you are here to die. And that's what those big buildings do. Now, the older generations, they've gone through some tough things in life, so they're quiet. They don't complain. They've gone through tough parts of our country's history, and they just take it. Where that's not right, right? Their kids are not quiet, and they will not tolerate that. So our mission's clear, and we know exactly what we're going to do. So we're raising $150 million collectively to change a market. We are literally going to be the Uber of the taxi cab industry within this industry. When we have 300 homes or 3,000 homes, no one in the country will have that. And they'll say, oh, yes, they finally came to town, and we'll be the top priority.
Love it. So which market do you have your homes now?
Chicagoland, I've got 5, and in Wisconsin, I have 4. So we're growing centrally in the country first, pods of 30 per market.
Okay. Okay.
So 30 homes we determine is efficiency achieved.
That's wonderful. Please correct me if I'm mistaken, but I understand that you didn't have any healthcare background before entering the senior living space, right?
Zero.
How did you manage to overcome the lack of healthcare knowledge when opening your first home?
I attempted it myself, and then I realized quickly that I was not qualified for that. And
Mhm,
then I've always just hired really talented people, and we pay them well, and we give them a vehicle to do what they do best, and
mhm,
then I give them homes that they can operate in. Because
mhm,
you could be the best person in healthcare, but if you have no one to take care of, you have nothing to do. They need me as much as I need them. I'm one of my talents, which I'm only good at a few things. I'm terrible at. I'm great at building a good team, and I to identify talent. So I saw a problem in our overall country, and I filled it with taking action. So I'm an action taker. A lot of people in this country will say, "Yeah, that's a really good idea," and they'll overthink it for 2 years and never do anything. If you don't jump out of the airplane and take some action, nothing happens. Now, on the flip side of that, I'm not saying I'm perfect because I've had some crash and burns pretty hardcore. I mean, COVID was rough for us, but we got through it. We made it through. We learned, and anyone that's going to invest wants to invest in somebody that's kind of been there, done that, and has a crash. Because if you haven't crashed a few times, then it just hasn't happened yet. The question
mhm,
is, what did you learn from that, and how are you going to do? Are you going to say, "Oh, it's hard, I am gonna quit"? No, you're gonna figure out how to do it and keep on rolling. And that's why I'm really good at what we do, is that we're passionate about the purpose of what we're doing to change the industry. And when people hear it, they know, like, all right, and then I want to be part of that. That's why many of our investors have invested with us, is they don't have the time to do what we do, but they would love to participate by having some of their capital help us purchase extra homes. Because I personally have invested over 2.3 million of my own money. So I'm
mhm,
vested. I am not just, hey, this is a cool idea, looking for outside money. I personally have invested $2.3 million of my own money. So they want to know somebody that's been there, done that, and is putting their own cash where they're going. But at a point of, after you have $2.3 million of your own money in, if you want to keep growing and helping more people, you need a vehicle to have more additional capital come in until banking really figures out what they're doing and they want to participate. Until then, it's all private capital. Private
mhm.
investors are the key of the country, because without that, nothing happens. Bankers now today are only lending when you don't need the money. Cannot raise private capital, you'll have a really hard time. And one of the biggest reasons for failure is being undercapitalized.
I love it. You mentioned that one of your best skill is actually being able to build a team. Can you provide us any insight in terms of how you identify the person to work with and how you build your team?
I think we take an honest assessment of what we're good at. We have been taking a personality test for every person. We identify like where they're good at, where they're weak at, and then we
Mm,
find a way to complement them. I'm really good at putting deals together, raising capital, buying properties, fixing properties. I love that stuff. Yet, if I had to take care of anyone, it's like healthcare wise, I would probably pass out. You need to find a person that complements you, who's on the opposite of what you're good at. A lot of people hire people just like them, and it's really foolish, because if you have people that are all good at one or two things, you're missing the mark.
mm,
You need to have a way to find somebody that's good at what you're not, and be honest with yourself, what you're good at and what you're not. I've hired a coach for years, and a coach allows me to have an outside perspective, say, yeah, Brandon, like, have you thought of it this way? Have you thought of that way? Like, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, you'll never do well.
mm. Do you mind sharing the name of your coach?
Sure. I hired a coach through Cultivate Advice, and the coach I have is Amy Jones out of Colorado.
So does
She's,
she teach you how to raise capital or how to
I
be
would
a
say,
businessman?
I mean, I'd say kind of both. I'd say more like life coach and business coach, and we talk weekly, and it's expensive. I encourage that. I've invested into that for years, and I feel without that and my faith, I would never be where I'm at.
I kind of have a pick of why you are able to persevere through so much hurdles and challenging moments and to get to where you are.
I feel God tests you to see if if you internally have what it takes before he gives you great things.
Mhm,
And I feel like that test is where we're at. And
mm,
if COVID wasn't a test, I don't know what was, because that tested us. It would have been the easiest thing to quit during that time and say, yeah, things are tough. I quit. But that's not me. I'm persistent and I focus on one thing till I'm done. And then I keep doing that. And faith also, like internally in my bones, like feel like this is why God put me here. So like, when you know that, you can work through things. And I say that God's opened up doors at great times. And frankly, I can't take credit for all that we've done. Like, if you knew what I did in the past, you'd be like, how do you run a overall company that has a portfolio of 35 million? I should not do what I do today, but because I'm willing to take action and learn, and I'm okay to hear feedback that's not always easy to hear. So I love that feedback, right? And that's why I've learned, and I think why I'm where I'm at today.
And how did you learn how to raise capital?
I would say I'm not even that good at it. I'm just really passionate and I've got great deals.
Mhm,
So offering 8 to 21% is a great ROI when inflation's 8. The
mhm,
banks is only offering 5, or the treasury bills are only 5 to 6%. So if you're outperforming inflation backed by a first lien of real estate, like you're a hero. I don't like real estate's and raising capital is critical, but it's really more of a question of how passionate are you? How well can you articulate it? And are you going to keep going till you do it? A lot of
mhm,
people quit too early or they overthink things and then they never take action. So I think people, they're not as committed as they say they are. And that's really why they fail. And I feel investors can feel that. They're investing not into the horse, they're investing their dollars into the person that's on the horse. The horse can change, right? They're investing the person on the horse and the vision. If you can effectively articulate your vision and can justify the investment, it's good. So
mhm,
that's also why I put together our fund. Is our fund doesn't need or our opco doesn't need $150 million, but we want to give a vehicle for others that have the heart and the passion to get into this business, a way that they can go raise a first lien of 80%, but they need the 20% down payment. Our fund would help with that. We'd come in and you would put the 20% down, and then they would sign, and we'd have a first right. And oftentimes our history helps get the deal done where they couldn't do it on their own. We typically like to partner up with people that have a healthcare background. So that
mhm,
complements what I'm really good at. Not like people that don't have a background are not necessarily the best fit for us. One of the things I've noticed is over the last years, people come up to me and say, Brandon, I've been dreaming of doing this for 20 to 25 years. So they are a piano and they never knew how to just get started. And they wanted to do it. Their heart was in it and really good at doing the housing piece.
mhm.
But I'm dependent on another person that knows how to operate and truly care. So that's really who I'm looking to partner up with. Is I can help you with the capital piece and get you going, but like, it needs to be done in a fashion where they're going to bring value to the table of overall operations.
And do your homes accept Medicaid? And what's the percentage of patients who do private pay, and what's the percentage use Medicaid?
Up until this year, we were 100% private pay, with the exception of long-term care insurance was about 7%. So about 93% private pay, 7% insurance. Now this year, we bought a portfolio in Wisconsin. So now we're probably 50% private pay, 50% public pay, which is fine. Like, I never want to go more than 50% public pay. I want to keep 50-50 or better. I always want to favor more private pay than public, but now I'm looking at deals that include both.
Thank you. I know that the affordable senior living is actually a huge problem in our country.
That is one of our country's biggest problems. And I am a higher end option that provides great housing. I'm not a affordable option. I'm not more expensive than anyone else, but I'm also not cheaper. I ought to be 10 to 20% higher than everyone else, but I would rather be full than 80%, right? So affordable housing for our country is one of the biggest challenges our government's going to have to tackle. I anticipate if I were to point out the future, a lot of the 100 to 200 bed facilities will be public pay options, and they'll need them. The private pay people they will go away from those 100 to 200 bed buildings and go to more cozy home model.
Was talking to an operator. I think she managed like more than 50 homes, and that's what she told me as well. The industry trend is going to more the boutique style.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, what's the book that you are currently reading, or the last book that you have read?
I'm reading The One Thing. Another one that I love is Life in Air by Steve Cook. I love that book. It's probably the biggest impact book. It's not what I'm reading right now, but it's definitely has the most impact on my life, that book. And that's balancing your work life to not just be all about work, but have time for your family and be present. I've done all of this, and I've coached my son's travel baseball team for the last 8 years. Honestly, I know I could have opened up more homes and been what the world would say is more of what the world thinks you need, but I would rather be a good dad and be present and coach my kids' baseball team than have 20 houses. I know we could be farther, but Life in Air puts balance in my life, and I would rather have a life full of life and purpose than lots of money and be all by myself. Because I've seen a lot of people that have had lots of money and then they get divorced or their kids hate them. And frankly, I'm not willing to gamble with that part. I love my kids and I love my wife, and I'm intentional to not extend myself, because at one point I did, and it just was not worth it. So I was unhappy and more overweight than I am now. Those are choices you got to make.
Yeah, well, I 100% agree with you because that's what God says. The priority is should be God, your spouse, and your children, then everything else. If the priority is wrong, and I think our life tend to mess up that way.
Yes, on that to be very true is
Yeah.
we always go by the God, family, business, baseball. Those are our top 4 priorities in life.
That's great. That connect to a lot of people within senior living space. Say if they really need funding, they want to come to you to tap in your fund. Like they do that, like kind of qualification that you are looking for, or they approach you.
Yeah, so our fund is actually really simple. We only invest into 10 to 20 bed homes. I don't do anything under 10 or anything over 20. So if you're looking to do the big facilities, don't call me. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to be a good fit for each other, right? I like to look at it really simply of if you can't demonstrate what your business does on one page, send it to me. It boils it down to the sequence of what you do. So you're looking for a 10 to 20 bed. If the only thing holding you up is funding, if you have everything else in line, I want to talk to you, right? And if you truly have the right heart behind it, looking for people first, not earning dollars first, I want to talk to you. If you're focused on profit over people, don't call me.
How can people find you if our audience want to connect with you?
Somebody wants to ask me questions how to operate the business, I can't help you with that. Maybe I could give you a guide and you can go through it. And I'll do a caveat that if you read it 7 times, I'll take a 15-minute call with you. Really, I'm looking to talk to people that are looking for funding and a property identified, like not at the very beginning trying to kick the tires, but like they've got a deal that needs funding. I'd like to talk to them, and mostly I'd like to talk to investors. But once full on our fund, I won't need any more. So I'll be looking to have capital out to deal. So the best way is probably to go to my calendar account, which is my first name, last name.com. Brandon, Brandon Schwab.com. Book a time to talk with me. If you're looking to learn more about investing in our fund, you can go to our website of our fund, a boutique, seniorlivingfund.com. Once we're fully funded, we'll have a link on our website for you to upload a deal. And when you upload a deal, it's a 1-page paper that has where it's at, all the details, 1 page. If it's 2 pages, it gets thrown out. Must be 1 page. If you cannot document on 1 page and very concise and what the deal is and what you're offering, don't upload it. And it's not 10 to 20 beds per house, don't upload it either, because we'll have a balance of about $50 million to give out to people, and we'll be looking to find great deals that we can get back behind. I mean, one of our tests is if the deal fails, like, would I take this deal over? You have to answer that question. And if the answer is yes, then we'll typically fund it. We're easier because we've been in this business for 10 years. We know what the lenders say, and a lot of times people don't know how to get around that. And been there, we've done that for so many years that we want to help people. We want to be that for somebody that has the heart and wants to do it. But like you were able to say, a lot of people think that funding is your biggest problem. It's not. If you don't have it in your perception, it is, because if you don't have the money, then you can't move forward. But there's a lot of other ways that I can help, either for equity in the deal. I'll either help put the deal together. Like, you give me 10 to 19% equity, I'll help you with the financing part. And it might be helping get the owner to carry financing. Like, I'm really good at that. If that's you and you want to talk, go to my first name, last name.com, book a time to talk to me for 15 to 30 minutes. And if it's something we can help, I'll help you. If not, I'll politely tell you and we can part as friends. I'm looking to talk to investors right now. Once we're fully funded, there will be no opportunity. We'll be closed for 5 years and go on a waiting list. But
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks again for being here with us and sharing your knowledge and your expertise. I appreciate you.
excellent. Well, thank you for the overall opportunity to talk to your audience and be part of what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.